It's the Splatfest time! Woo, Splatfest. I forgot I had TikTok open on my phone. Oh no. Dad's Burgers. Yeah, that's fine. So, Wizard, Knight, or Ninja is the Splatfest theme. Honestly, one of the ones they're redoing from Splatoon 2, I think it's a fantastic idea. Especially because in Splatoon 2 there were 3 costumes, but they only did Wizard and Knight, or Witch and Knight. It doesn't really matter. I mean, what is a male witch? A witcher. It doesn't matter. So yeah, I'm kind of glad they're still doing Splatfests. And if Splatoon 3 does get ported to Switch 2, instead of them just going into Splatoon 4, I kind of hope they just keep doing it. So if it isn't obvious which team I'm picking, I represented Team Wizard in the original the original time they did this back in Splatoon 2. That clip probably exists on YouTube somewheres. You better believe I'm back again. Yep, Team Witch. Here we go. I mean, I guess wizard is a more gender-neutral term, right? Because witch and witcher are masculine and feminine by nature. So look at us in our little costume. I saw somebody. They took this costume. Yeah, we can split it. Somebody took this costume, but did it with the World Tour heels. I think that looks great, honestly. Yeah, I'd probably actually change into I'd probably actually get pants for this. But yeah, no, I think the World Tour heels actually are like a great addition to this. I know I did boots once as well, but you know, I worked hard to get this gear. I'm just gonna rock it. Yeah. You know, it's a fun little outfit. I think it's neat. Yeah, Team Wizard all the way. Never, it was never even a question. Alright, let's just start. Oh, again, sometimes I feel like it's always just the same, like, 4 stages. Umami Ruins, Wahoo World, Maki Mahi Resort, and whatever the third one. Okay, Flounder Heights isn't actually super duper common for when I play. But Umami Ruins definitely is. Oh my god, do I run into that every time. So, what are we doing tonight? We got a lot of different things, actually. So, we got the Game Freak, Teraleak, as it's been... I've seen some people calling this the Mega Leak, or the Giga Leak, or whatever. I like the term Teraleak, because it's a terabyte of data, but also Tera Pokemon are a thing. Alright, I think that's clever, like a punny... That's clever in like a kind of punny way. I don't know, especially because there has been Game Freak leaks in the past. Like, that's how we got the Gold and Silver demo, was the last Mega Leak. So I've seen why some people are like, this is the Giga Leak, because the last one was the Mega Leak. Or maybe the last one was the Giga Leak. I don't know, however they're phrasing it. Let's see. I couldn't get you. But yeah, so we got that. How exactly are we going to talk about this? I don't know. I'm kind of going to wing it, like always. But there are some things I do want to mention, you know. So we got that. I want to briefly talk about Bandai Namco, who laid off a bunch of staff this week. Because video game layoffs, of course. We got some news about Spider-Man 2. You know, the PS5 game. So we got some news about that. We got some theme park news. I don't normally talk about theme park news, but it's related to video games, kinda, sorta. So, sure, why not? I mean, I did just watch, right earlier today, I watched, Keith Eats the Venue, excuse me, at, Disney's Hollywood Studios. And that was a very good video. That was great. And God, that hot dog, that BLT hot dog with the, bacon mac and cheese. Oh my God, that sounded so good. Oh my gosh. Like, yeah, color me in for that one. Holy crap. So yeah, so I watched that, but we got some other food stuff to talk about. And then we've got a bunch of WIBE stuff. We've got food. I've got 2 food things to talk about. Both of them related to chicken. I've got I saw a movie. Well, yeah, let's just go with that. I saw a movie. Keep it simple. Saw a movie. And then I got 2 sort of TV show-ish things to talk about. And then we got some video game stuff, because, the new Mario Party came out, and I have played it. Not much of it, but I've played a little bit. So yeah, we have a few things to talk about. Not much, but, a few things. Okay, it actually is, compared to, 2 weeks ago, where I literally didn't have anything on the schedule, things are definitely picking up. And that's not even, talking about the Switch 2 stuff, which, don't worry, one of these actually 2 of these stories contain information on the Switch 2. Yeah, the obvious one, obviously, but one of the other stories also contains potential information on the Switch 2. Ooh, which one is it gonna be? Are we getting Spider-Man 2 on Switch 2? Maybe. Hint, hint, wink, wink. That's what we call foreshadowing. I'm having fun. I honestly I always start the show around the same time every day. But today I was like, you know what? I'm home from work. I don't have anything else planned. I have an hour of time to kill. Maybe I should just start the show an hour early. I obviously didn't, but you better believe I did consider it. Because I think I was done, I had dinner, I did everything, and it was 7:45, and I was like, I could just start the show at 8, or I could go watch Chilled Chaos play Mario Party for an hour. So that's what I did. And don't worry, we'll talk about Mario Party. I have some thoughts. Not like Eurogamer. No, I'm nothing like Eurogamer. Oh my gosh, you should... That review is so interesting. I saw everyone talking about the Eurogamer review. Because they gave Mario Party a 4 out of 10. And I was like, really? A full... I understand, right, right now, this is reviewed as, one of the best Mario Party games ever. I think it is the best reviewed Mario Party game ever. But, I don't need everyone to line up to that. If you have problems with it, that's A-okay, right? That's perfectly fine. That's totally acceptable. But a 4 out of 10 is very low. Especially for, AAA gaming news sites, right? So I was like, wow, I wonder, how this game pissed in this reviewer's cornflakes. And I think the big thing about the review, at least from my perspective, was that the person who was reviewing the game just hates Mario Party. That was kind of the... I wish the reviewer had said, oh yeah, I love Mario Party 2. I love the original, right? Oh yeah, I've played all the GameCube and the N64 games. I wish I knew something about the Mario Party they had played. Because if I didn't know, I'm pretty sure the reviewer just hates Mario Party. That's the feeling I got from reading this review. Is that the reviewer just hates Mario Party. Reading their little bio at the end, it's oh yeah, they love, they're a strategy gamer person. But they also like Zelda and Xenoblade. And I was like, okay. Because that's part of the problem with, aggregate review sites like Eurogamer, IGN, Game Informer, literally every place under the sun that's not like a single YouTuber doing it, is right. It's not like IGN, the company, doesn't review games, right? It's people working at IGN review games. And those people at IGN all have different tastes and ideals. So someone's taste, them not liking Mario Party, that's perfectly acceptable. But why, right? Like, you can definitely glean something from somebody who doesn't inherently like a genre playing a game within certain genres, right? The famous Cuphead thing, where the guy who, that famous IGN video where the guy just absolutely sucks at Cuphead. That was a guy who I think he played strategy games, and he played, no, I think that was it. He was mostly a market analyst. Like, he was a financial guy. And so he was like, hey, we have some time in the day. We have a slot to play Cuphead. Nobody else has time to do it. Do you want to go check it out? So they sent the guy, who, again, mostly plays, like, StarCraft 2. And other than that, he's a financial advisor. And he played it, and he sucked. And people are like, oh, well, that's all games journalists. Like, this one guy doing bad at Cuphead, because, he's not a fan of platformers, and he had never played a platformer, all of a sudden became the voice of all games journalists, right? The representation that all games journalists are shit at gaming. Even though when, IGN eventually did put out a review of Cuphead, they loved it. Because, they got someone to actually play Cuphead, someone who likes games like Cuphead to play Cuphead. So, right, there is definitely stuff that can be gleaned from someone who knows nothing about a game or a genre, playing something in that genre. But yeah, that review is very interesting. I honestly recommend giving it a read. Like, there are just certain points where it's like, do you even like Mario Party? Or does the concept just, like, inherently not work for you, like, at all? And, like, there's at least one point that I'm pretty sure they mentioned in there that I do actually agree with. But yeah, no, it's just been on my mind. Okay, let's, we've been beating around the bush. Let's actually talk about things. So, the Pokemon Company has what's being called the Teraleak. Basically, what happened is someone working at the Pokemon Company, and we do actually know this guy's name. Right, as part of the leaks, we know this guy's name. Whatever's happened to him. I mean, knowing the Pokemon Company and Nintendo, this guy could be crucified for all we know. But basically, he fell for a phishing email. Right, somebody sent him a phishing email with a link, and he clicked on that link, and that basically gave the person who sent out the email access to his hard drive, and basically it gave them access to a terabyte of data, of which they've basically over the past week have been releasing certain parts of it. The Pokemon Company, of course, has come out, and they did make an official statement. Specifically the fact that over 2,600, there are 2,600 instances. So, right, these are individual instances, so they're some of these can be for multiple people, but it's 2,600 instances of past, present, and contracted employees who have had their information leaked. Right, this could include anything from, phone numbers to, I want to say, financial, it's phone numbers, location data, financial information, like pay stubs and whatnot. All sorts of things have been leaked out of this. And this is always the worst part of every leak, right? There are a lot of, people who work at these companies who love the work they do that just got doxxed, that do not deserve this. That's right, and every time, like when the Insomniac leaks happened last year, which we will talk about here in a little bit, actually. Right, those leaks also, right, it was a bunch of personal information. And that's what always matters the most about these, is, right, the personal information. Right, the leak stuff, yeah, that sucks to get out there. But it's the personal information I actually really care about. These people did not deserve to be doxxed. They did nothing to get themselves doxxed. And who knows what sorts of complications this is going to cause in the future, right? Pokemon fans, quote unquote, I almost said TM. I did say TM, but yeah. Pokemon fans, quote unquote, are notoriously whiny cunts. So, what are they going to do with this information? I mean, hopefully nothing major comes from it. But you never know. As far as I'm aware, there was no ransom note or anything, right? Like, the leaker did... If there was a ransom, you know, to not leak this stuff, they didn't say anything. A lot of times in these scenarios, the people who get this information put the personal stuff out first, just to show off that they can do it, right? Like, that's some of this... Because the crazy thing about this leaker, that, you know, you would think, like, okay, he's got this information, is he gonna ransom it, right? What's he gonna do? He puts out the personal information of employees, but he also has copies, allegedly. He has playable copies of Pokemon Legends Arceus, and a playable prototype build for Generation 10. And this, whoever this leaker is, he's decided, oh, I'm going to release all the, you know, personal information, the personal data, but I'm not going to release those two things. You know, that's my morals. That's where I draw the line. You know, I'll dox, you know, over 2,600 instances of personal data. But I'm not going to release Gen 10 so that way people can look at it early. I'm not going to give out Legends Arceus, right? And, like, supposedly they've played the game, they've, you know, beat it, because it's basically, it's in a completely playable and beatable state. So supposedly they've done all this, they've released a few pieces of information. But yeah, for some reason, that's where they draw the line. Again, if there was a ransom of some kind, which, again, happens in a lot of these cases, I would expect, you know, that to be part of their demands. But as far as we know, you know, if there was anything like that, we haven't heard anything. So yeah, you know, all that personal data, that really fucking sucks. Other than that, other stuff that's been come out, right? So like I said, this person has copies of Gen 10, like a Gen 10 build in Legends EA, a near finished build, supposedly. And yeah, they're not putting any of that out. They've done it again. There's been a few teasers and whatnot, but nothing too official. Part of these, right? Gen 10 has been codenamed Gaia. There's been a lot of speculation about that. Oh, maybe it's a Greece region, right? Whatever. The games are named K and N, which I've seen some people speculate that maybe they're Pokemon Wave and Pokemon Wind, which I actually don't hate that idea at all. But yeah, you know, so we got that. There's some information that Pokemon Company is working with Ilka to make a thing called Synapse, which is a Splatoon-like multiplayer game. We don't know anything about it other than that. There's also, I guess, Ilka's working on their own project separate to all of this. So we got that. Of course, with any of these leaks, we get a bunch of beta information. You know, we've got the source codes for Heart Gold and Soul Silver now. We've got the source codes for Black and White 2. We've been getting, basically throughout the week, we've been getting concept arts, beta sprites, concept images, just tons of different stuff online. You know, we've got like I think it was today or yesterday, we got beta versions of like a bunch of Gen 6 Pokemon, like Floette. What I personally think there's like a Flamingo one that I've seen some people be like, oh, it's Flamigo. No, I'm pretty sure it's Aromatisse. I'm like 90% sure this was a beta version of Aromatisse. We've got a bunch of concept art. There's like some Gen 3 concept art that's like horror. That's like, you know, like there's a beta Cacturn prototype design that looks like a horror game character. There's a Swing Stone thing. There's been a lot of lore information in here, right? Like we got basically the Pokemon Company's internal creation myth. I guess I think it was Black and White, there's an Arceus event that has this like weird triangle symbol in it. And I guess through these leaks, we now know that that triangle represents Pokemon creation, and like it works Dialga, Palkia in there, because this is before Giratina existed. It works Groudon, Kyogre, and Rayquaza, the Lake Trio, the legendary birds, the legendary beasts, Ho-Oh, Lugia, Mew, Gyarados, Tyranitar, and I want to say Dragonite are in there for some reason. There's a few things that we don't know anything about, like where it's like, it's got a name, but we don't know what it means yet. Or maybe not ever will. And then, of course, the one thing everyone's been obsessed with this past week is basically internally for, like, world building. The Pokemon Company released... Okay, so internally, the Pokemon Company, for world building purposes, created some folklore in mythology. Like, these are stories that, exist within the universe that, are like folklore. Like, like stuff you'd read. Like, the story that everyone's been talking about, the Typhlosion one, reminds me a lot of, like, the fox fur mythologies, or Selkies, right? It reminds me of shit like that. Like, I honestly, the Typhlosion story, I think Red from Overly Sarcastic Productions could do a dramatic reading of this, and it'd sound like any one of their other videos. Because that's the kind of things these are supposed to be. And, like, we've known for a long time that since Gen 4, that in the Pokemon universe, there was a point in time in which the differences between humans and Pokemons were basically indistinguishable. That information is nothing new. So this Typhlosion story about a woman being gaslit by a Typhlosion, forced to bear her child, and then at the end becoming a Typhlosion because people kept putting Typhlosion fur on her. Like, that... Like, people are freaking out and calling Typhlosion a pedophile, he's the next P. Diddy or whatever. But, like, this just reads like any other folklore, right? Like, again, it reminds me of, like, fox furs. Like, there are tales of, like, people who, like, foxes who can take off their fur and turn into humans. That's exactly what this reminds me of. Like, yeah, is it fucked up? Yes, but guess what? Real-life mythology is also super fucked up. This is nothing new. None of these stories surprise me. Like, people are freaking out about this. And yes, it is kind of weird that, this came from, like, the official Pokemon Company. But this is just mythology. Right? This sounds like anything that could be written at any point. And I mean, Pokemon's always had fucked up shit in it. Driftlooms that kidnap kids, Hypnos that hypnotize people. They've always had super fucked up stuff. This is nothing new. But people have just been freaking out about this Typhlosion thing for the past week. Right? That basically nobody can like Typhlosion anymore. Right? Meganium stocks are on the rise. Am I a little defensive because Cyndaquil was my first starter? I guess. But no, I think people are making way too big of a deal out of this. And yeah, there's just been a bunch of other stuff. We got a bunch of concept art for Legends Arceus today. And stuff is still going to keep dropping, obviously. You know what? And a lot of this concept art and whatnot, I wish the Pokemon Company would just legitimately release this stuff. Like, I think about, like, Breath of the Wild's Making the Champion book, or Tears of the Kingdom's Masterworks book. Like, I wish the Pokemon Company would just release development diaries and behind-the-scenes work. Because a lot of this stuff, like this concept art, is all very interesting. I would totally buy a book that's just filled with some of these, like, beta sprites and whatnot. And just explaining, like, development and thought processes behind the making of these Pokemon games. That's all really interesting and really fascinating stuff. I wish game companies were more open to releasing some of this behind-the-scenes stuff. Part of it, and that, especially what doesn't help, is that when leakers do stuff like this, because companies don't release any of this stuff, right? That kind of makes leakers want to go after it, to find it. Because like source codes are a totally different thing, but you can totally like that Cacturn drawing and all the other weird ones, like that weird stone golem. I could have, if the Pokemon Company had released like Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, a making of book, and it had stuff, images like that in it, that would be really cool. I'm sure fans would love that, to see all these like beta sprites, you know, design thought processes. Like, yeah, over the years we get little bits and pieces, you know, that one Snorlax being based on one of the people who worked at Game Freak, and people love stuff like that. I wish the Pokemon Company would just officially, you know, release it. Like, because I think it's all very interesting, and people would love to read about that stuff. Like, I know it takes time and effort to produce stuff like that. But no, it's clear that... I know people don't like a lot of modern Pokemon games, and definitely looking through some of these leaks, you definitely get the feeling that the Pokemon Company is rushed to get these things out. That they have grand visions that they're just unable to achieve due to not budgets, but probably time constraints and executives who force them to push out the new product. Like, supposedly, according to these leaks, Legend ZA was supposed to come out this year, but they had to delay it for some reason. I don't think they give a specific reason why, but right, that's just another piece of it. So, yeah. And yeah, I'm sure more stuff. I would not be surprised if that Legend ZA prototype gets leaked at some point. Sadly. Same thing with the Gen 10 stuff. God, that was so close. So the last thing I want to talk about when referring to these Pokemon leaks is that supposedly, according to the the Pokemon Generation 10 is currently being developed for both Switch and Switch 2. Does that mean it's going to release on both Switch and Switch 2? No. That's no guarantee. It could, but that doesn't mean it has to. Instead, right, the one bit of information we got out of this is that the Switch 2 is codenamed Ounce. What does that mean? No idea. Right? Usually codenames are like something internal. They're like in-jokes for the developers, right? Like, they're not meaningless, but right, they're usually like in-jokes or some weird thing that the developers think of. Right? The Dolphin is, I think, one of the most famous ones. Right? The GameCube was originally called the Dolphin. Why was it called the Dolphin? I admittedly, for the life of... I think we know the reason, but I, for the life of me, cannot remember. But right, the GameCube was called the Dolphin. The Wii was called the Revolution. And, right, because Nintendo thought, like, oh, this is gonna revolutionize video games. And guess what? They were kind of right. Like, you've got to have some confidence to call your thing the Revolution. But they were kind of right to do so. I mean, the Wii did crazy well. The Wii U was called Project Cafe. Why? Again, no idea. And then, of course, the Switch was famously called the NX. So, we now know the Switch 2, or whatever it's going to end up being, is called Ounce. It's kind of surprising we didn't already know this. Like, I remember we knew about the Switch's development name, codename, in like 2015. And the Switch came out in 2017. Like, we knew it like a full 2 years beforehand. So it's actually kind of surprising that we didn't know the Switch 2's code name. Like, it's actually kind of wild that we potentially got leaked images of the Switch 2 itself before we got its code name. And even if it was just in like I think we got the NX name from Iwata in a developers meeting. Like, that was one of Iwata's like last shareholders meeting, I mean. Right? One of Iwata's last shareholder meetings, I think, revealed that the Nintendo's next console was called the NX. If I remember correctly. It's been a while. But yeah, it's an interesting piece of information. Does this mean we're any closer to the Switch 2? Obviously not. No, like, this is just, you know, it's an interesting little tidbit that, you know, we now know. Again, if everything in here is to be believed, which I see no reason why it wouldn't be. So yeah, I think that's all I got for the Pokemon story. Again, there's so much I didn't talk about. Man. Again, I just feel bad for the people involved. So yeah, I guess that takes us to our next thing. So, you know, so bad things happening in the gaming industry. It's been a year for layoffs, right? Early in the year, every company laid off hundreds of employees, right? Microsoft, PlayStation, Activision Blizzard, even though I think it's been a year, like today, it has officially been a year since Activision Blizzard was acquired by Xbox. Something like that. Like, it was some sort of anniversary today for that acquisition. But yeah, so, right, Rockstar, I think Rockstar, CD Projekt Red, EA, obviously, Ubisoft. Ubisoft's not doing good. Their stock plummeted, from what I understand. But right, so all these companies have been laying off people, and hey, guess what? Bandai Namco is the next company that's cutting their staff. I don't think they announced they're closing any like studios, right? Like internal studios, but instead they're pausing work on a bunch of projects. What projects? Of course, we don't know, but they gave basically in the. I'll just read from the Wario64 tweet because I have it up. Right, Bandai, so this is from Bloomberg. Bandai Namco begins to cut headcount after culling game titles. Bandai Namco decided to either cancel or pause development of several games, including ones that feature characters from anime such as Naruto and One Piece, as well as projects commissioned by Nintendo. The Tokyo-based game company is taking a traditional Japanese approach to reducing staff and sending workers to rooms where they are given nothing to do, putting pressure on them to leave voluntarily. You know that would never work in America, right? If you put employees in a room and just wait for them to quit, they won't quit. Right? Like, that would never work in America. I know people hate being bored. Like, obviously, people would rather electrocute themselves than be bored, but still, that would never work in this country. But yeah, so projects relating to Naruto, One Piece, any other anime projects they're working on probably are all either paused or canceled, and then anything relating to Nintendo. Admittedly, I don't know what Bandai Namco has been. I want to say a few years ago, Bandai Namco made like a new deal with Nintendo, because they've worked on a bunch of. They work on Mario Odyssey. I know they did like some I know they did some Mario Kart stuff. I specifically remember that they worked on some Mario Kart stuff. I know for a fact they worked on Smash Bros. Right, Pac-Man is in Smash Bros. For partially that reason, because Bandai Namco worked on Smash. I don't know what other Bandai Namco games Nintendo has worked, or what other Nintendo games Bandai Namco has worked on. Like, I couldn't give you specific titles or anything. But yeah, I feel like when you see a lot of these studios, you know, doing cuts like this, they're always closing studios. Like when Microsoft did it, right? They closed like 3 or 4 studios. Of course, since then, the guys behind the studio behind oh God, why am I forgetting that game's name? The rhythm game. They've been brought back, right? They were able to continue and make their sequel. But, you know, a lot of other studios haven't. Activision Blizzard also famously closes down studios. EA, you know, has closed down Visceral and plenty of other things. I think was EA was Visceral, right? Or was Activision Blizzard? I don't know. Blizzard. Whenever I think Visceral as like studios, you know, cutting employees and you know, closing down developers. Oh, was it Arcane Austin got closed down? Was that the other one I was thinking of? Yeah, because in this modern day gaming climate, whether you are successful or not, your studio is at risk. You know, your game's a failure, your studio's at risk. Your game's a success, your studio's at risk. You know, the gaming industry is kind of just completely fucked. Like, on all aspects. You know, for making billions of dollars every year. More than movies, TV shows, and books combined. It's all built on paper and popsicle sticks. Right? It collapses under even the slightest bit of pressure. Why can I not think of that game? It's the studio that made Beats. It's a rhythm game. It's was it Tingo Gameworks? Was that the developer? Tingo Gameworks? I don't know. I was seeing if it's in my notes, but I don't see anything in my notes. Yeah, oh my God. Oh, you know what I did find? The list of employees laid off. Microsoft laid in just 2 months, right? The first 2 months of the year. Microsoft laid off 1,900 people. Sony laid off 900 people. Unity laid off 1,800. Twitch laid off 500. Riot Games laid off 530. Discord laid off 170. Playtech laid off 300 to 400 people. Lost Boys laid off 125. Pixelberry laid off 120. Metaverse World laid off 70. Black Forest Games laid off 50. Eidos Montreal laid off 97. Recon Games laid off 60. Sega of America laid off 61. 91 Act laid off 60. And Supermassive Games laid off 90. And that was just in 2 months. That was 2 months' time. Like, holy shit. And yeah, and that again, they've so many other companies. EA, that doesn't include EA or Ubisoft, which that all did happen later on down the line. I clearly can't find what I'm looking for. Tingo Gamesworks sounds correct. Hi-Fi Rush, there we go. Hi-Fi Rush. Oh my God, that was going to drive me crazy. But yeah, this is just another company laying off people. Right, it's been the year of the layoffs. And it sucks. It just proves that the gaming industry is a bubble that will burst. It's just a matter of when. It's just a matter of when. Admittedly, I every year I think like, oh, this is going to be the year. Especially at the beginning of this year. I was like, oh, this is going to be the year the gaming industry fucking collapses. Like, holy shit, these layoffs? Nothing ever came from it. Because, you know, they just got to keep milking those whales. It sucks here. So our next story comes from Insomniac. And they put out... So earlier today, Insomniac put out a statement that they are releasing Spider-Man 2 on PC. So on January 30th of next year, Insomniac will be releasing Spider-Man on PC, Spider-Man 2. It will have, you know, New Game Plus, all the other features, I can't remember what they're called. It will have New Game Plus, all the new suits, all the new color variants, photo mode, and any other features they created. That's cool. You know, it's good we're getting all of that. And it's, you know, for people who've been waiting for that on PC, you know, good for you. I mean, I feel like people have really turned on that game. People do not seem to like Spider-Man 2. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time with that game. Like, people seemingly hate the story, but I actually really enjoyed the story of Spider-Man 2. It's not perfect, but neither was the first games. I mean, the first game's kind of a mess because they throw all of the villains at you at the very end of the game. And you don't even fight them individually. You have to fight them you have to fight two of them at the same time. I mean, it's not bad. Again, that game's not bad, and I like the Doc Ock stuff. But it's kind of, you know, it's got its problems. And the second one's kind of the same way. I like the Harry Osborn stuff. I feel like that stuff's very good. Some of the Kraven stuff is fantastic. The Black Suit Peter stuff, right, I think is great. God, spoiler alert for that game, for Spider-Man 2, I guess. The moment where you play as Miles and fight Peter in the black suit is fantastic. I love that moment so much. And then, not directly following it, but like soon after, where you get to play as Venom was also amazing. I did not see that coming at all, but I thought that was great. I think there are some really great moments in that game. Yeah, is it perfect? No, of course not. I've got plenty of problems with it. You know, like I said, I have plenty of problems with the first one. Without getting into any specifics, it's mostly repetitive. Like, they cut out a lot of the side content that made the first game cumbersome, but, like, they didn't really add anything new. And some of the new enemies sucked. Oh, my God. Those bear axe guys. Oh, they annoy me to no end. But, so that's all the PC stuff. But then they also put out a thing saying that, and I quote, while we have no additional story content planned for Marvel Spider-Man 2, we're delighted to bring all of our previously released post-launch content to the PC version, including New Game Plus, new suits, color variants, photo mode, features, and more. So basically, this is the confirmation that basically a year after the game released, that, hey, guess what? We're not getting DLC. A lot of people had been patiently waiting for Spider-Man 2 DLC. Be that, you know, Carnage, or, again, I guess spoiler alert again. So, right, Carnage is set up in the game, but you only see Cletus Cassidy in, like, a single cutscene, and that's it. And it's actually kind of underwhelming, like, I totally get it. There was these hints at one time about Daredevil, that, like, hey, we might be getting Daredevil. There's an entire portion of the map that you can glitch out of bounds and get to, that, you know, people are like, oh, maybe this will be playable in the DLC. Nothing ever came of that. You know, because there was all this talk about Daredevil for a little bit, and, like, the developers had maybe hinted at it once. You know, there were a number of things that people had wanted. They set up Chameleon, right? There's this whole bit about Chameleon that goes nowheres. And that is one of my problems with the game, is that they set up things like Carnage and Chameleon that just don't go anywheres. Like, okay, it's obvious now that they're setting them up for the third game. I definitely, at the time, I felt like they were setting up Carnage for the third game. I know people really wanted Carnage DLC. It really felt like, no, they're clearly saving Carnage for the third game. Like, the way that storyline ends is with Yuri telling Spider-Man, like, hey, you know, Cletus has gone underground. It's gonna take us a while to find him. But, you know, when I do, I'll be in contact. Because he gets the symbiote at the end. And I was like, obviously that's gonna be setting up the next game. Right? The next game is gonna do something with Carnage. So, yeah, that one, but, like, the Chameleon stuff sucked. Because you spend all these time, like, chasing these birds and whatnot. Only to then get, like, a teaser of Chameleon. Like, you find, like, his lair. And then that's it. Right? You get, like, you find out he's, Kraven's, like, brother or cousin, or he's somehow related to Kraven. But that's it, right? Like, it doesn't go any farther than that. It's kind of underwhelming. And I think that's just a problem with the side content and stuff in that game in general. Like, I feel like a lot, right, the Chameleon stuff doesn't have good payoff. The Carnage stuff is okay, but again, it's setting up something in a future game. The base storyline where you find out, like, Kraven's backstory, that he basically killed his whole family, that stuff, you know, that stuff kind of doesn't... Like, I wish there were other places they had put that. I feel like that's not a bad idea, but it's just kind of the way they implemented it I didn't like. And the only thing I did only kind of like was the Mysterio stuff, but because that ends with a boss fight of you fighting Mysterio. But getting to that Mysterio boss fight was kind of a pain in the ass. Right? Like, the Miles Morales challenges were kind of underwhelming. But I think the actual Mysterio boss fight's kind of neat. Because I fucking like Mysterio. What can I say? And I think the PlayStation game's design is fine. Right? The skull and the helmet works fine. But yeah, there's some... Is that... I feel like that's all the side content in that game. Like, if I'm missing anything, I'm only missing, like, one thing. Like, there's not that much side content. There's, you know, there's, like, some Venom bases and whatnot, but that's nothing. That's, like, small potatoes. There's some project stuff where you're, like, working for the the May... something Foundation, May... I can't remember Harry's mom's name. You're working for their foundation, and you're, like, helping out with, like, robot pigeons and whatnot. That stuff was all okay. But yeah, I feel like, right, there's, like, there's obviously stuff to do with the story, right? Where you can go story DLCs, right? Again, everything I just mentioned, or you can go in a different direction, you know? Introduce some other character. Now, the obvious thing is, oh, they're not doing any story DLC because they're working on the Wolverine, right? Maybe they're trying to get, right, we talked about the Pokemon leaks. Insomniac did get hacked last year, and a bunch of their information did come out. Now, admittedly, I don't remember everything that came out in the Insomniac leaks. Mainly, honestly, if I remember, the real reason why I remember not really looking into it was because I was on a business trip the week that stuff came out. Like, I was at a conference, and so I remember, like, when I heard about the Insomniac leaks, I was in, like, a hotel room, and it was, like, late at night. I had a busy day at the conference, and I was just like, you know what? I'll deal with this another time, and then I just never did. So, like, I know we got stuff for the Wolverine, and I know the Wolverine is, was it coming out next year, 2025? Or was it 2026? It's coming at some point. But here's the thing. I swear, I remember in the Insomniac leaks, there was a mention of a Venom game. That in 2025, we were going to be getting a Venom game. Maybe this was a project that they were talking about that got canceled. I don't remember the exact details. But I swear there was talks of, like, an Insomniac Venom game. And at the time, because, you know, at the time we still didn't have Spider-Man 2 DLC or anything like that. Like, we'd heard nothing. And I remember thinking, like, what if instead of doing DLC, they instead put all that development time into a separate, smaller Venom game? Kind of like Miles Morales, right? Like, we got the Miles Morales game, which was, you know, a smaller game. What if we get another smaller game that's Venom? That's specifically us with Venom. I don't know entirely how that would work, you know, because we've got, you know, again, the story at the end of the Spider-Man, you know, Spider-Man 2, Harry goes into a coma and Venom, the symbiote, is destroyed. So I don't know entirely how all of that would work, but I'm sure there's something somewheres that would make it make sense, maybe, potentially, I don't know. And then other than that, again, it's just, we know Insomniac's obviously working towards Spider-Man 3, they're obviously working on that Wolverine game, which I hope is great. But that's just something, like, in the back of my mind, that's something, like, I swear that existed. And yet, now that people are like, oh, we're getting no story DLC, nobody has brought that up. Not a single person has brought that up. And it's not, I'm not gonna say it feels like a dirty word, because, you know, this did come from leaks. But it's just kind of, I don't know, I feel like there's something there that, you know, nobody's talking about. But yeah, no story DLC. If there was gonna be story DLC, yeah, they definitely would have told us. I wish they had just done what the Tears of the Kingdom developers did, and just told us outright, you know, like a month after release, right? Because, you know, there's the possibility that in theory they plan to do DLC, and then they canceled it for any number of reasons. Because to be fair, the DLC in the original Spider-Man game actually wasn't that great. I mean, the first one was fine, it was cool seeing Black Cat again, but the stuff with Hammerhead was just stupid. I'll be honest, I did not like any of the stuff with Hammerhead. Oh, I just remember the Sandman crystals. I actually like the Sandman crystals. Those were okay. I feel like the lore bits we got from that, I feel like that all paid off really well. And I guess I kind of wish we had gotten more stuff like that. I don't know. Yeah, like, wouldn't it have been cool to see, like, Hydro Man and Molten Man and whatever the air one's called? I think it's Cyclone Man. But Cyclone Man also might be a Mega Man guy. I know Hydro Man and Molten Man are correct. Because they're not like Water Man and Fire Man. They're like weird variants, right? Like Molten Man and Hydro. Yeah, it might be Cyclone Man. That sounds right in my head. So yeah. So I guess that takes us to our last story. So Universal Studios has been working on a new theme park. Basically, it's a brand new park, right? It's a brand new expansion with multiple worlds, and they're calling it Epic Universe. And it's this big deal, and it's going to have a bunch of different worlds. Of course, there's a Harry Potter one. Of course, there is. There's a How to Train Your Dragon one, which sounds fantastic. Like, oh my god, I do enjoy that movie a lot, and so I think How to Train Your Dragon universe is a great idea. And we've seen like prototypes of them. They have like a drone with like dragon wings and whatnot, and there's been like footage of them like testing it around Orlando, and that's like really cool. And then there are some other worlds that I can't remember. I literally only remember the How to Train Your Dragon one. Is there a Shrek one? I don't think there's a... I don't... Is there a Game of Thrones one? I'm like 90... And I'm also only like 90% sure there's a Harry Potter one. I know Universal loves their Harry Potter. Even though, you know, Joanne's a fucking turf. They still love Harry Potter. But of course, the universe I and many other people care about is Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo World. Or Land, whatever they're calling it. I think it's Super Nintendo Land. Now, as far as I can remember, the Super Nintendo Land in California at Universal Studios is open, right? That did open sometime either this year or last year. It was in like February, maybe. So that is open. You can go to that right now. But the one in Orlando, you know, they were saving it for the expansion, for this new Epic Universe park. And it's going to come with a Donkey Kong ride, right? They've got this, we got the patent, copyright. We got some information about the Donkey Kong ride earlier this year, where basically the car that you ride in is elevated above, like, the actual, like, rails that the coaster goes on. So that way, like, the minecart you're riding in can, like, jump the track, where, like, meanwhile, it's just below safe, right? Like, it's not it creates the illusion of jumping the track, because the little minecart you're in is actually jumping the track. But that's because the actual rail for the ride is down below. It's actually like it's neat, you know, is it actually like a very complex coaster? Not really, but I think it's just, like, you can't, like, there's not a lot of flexibility there. But I think it makes for some neat ideas. So yeah, a Donkey Kong ride seems cool. And of course they're going to have everything else that the Nintendo Land you'd expect. You know, they're going to have the Mario Kart ride, they're going to have the Toad's Cafe, they're going to have, you know, the merchandising stores and whatnot. So all of that's to be there, but new Donkey Kong stuff, all that seems cool. So yeah, we got a lot of new information on the Epic Universe. Or, you know, the big thing is we got our release date. The park officially opens May 22nd, 2025. So it's what, 7 to 8 months away, depending on how you do your math. So yeah, it's a ways away, but you know, you want to get people start ready and booked for it. And unlike like the Star Wars land that Disney added that nobody actually seemed to care about because they made it so exclusive, I actually, from what I've seen, people are actually like really excited for this, right? Like Universal has clearly put a lot of effort into their big epic universe, right? Because right now Disney seems to be flustering. Like Disney in the theme park department doesn't actually seem to be doing that well. I mean, they're still making money, but they're pissing a lot of people off. Like I was reading up on the new Lightning Lane stuff, and yeah, that just seems like a mess, especially compared to Universal's thing, which is so much better. But yeah, no, people seem to actually be excited, right? This isn't going to be a new Star Wars hotel. This is something people seem to be actually excited for, which is cool. Alright, I was gonna look up the other ones. It's called Epic Universe. Right, May 22nd, 2025, Super Nintendo World. One of the 5 immersive worlds at Universal Epic Theme Parks officially opens at the Orlando Resort. And let's see, it's Super Nintendo World, Harry Potter's Ministry of Magic, the Dark Universe, which is Universal Monsters, How to Train Your Dragon, the Isle of Berk, and it doesn't tell me the 5th one. I thought there were supposed to be 5. Celestial? Is it just called Celestial Park? Is that like the opening area? Yeah, so it seems to just be Celestial Park, which is like the opening area. Okay. You know, it's your, like, Main Street USA. I don't know, a big thing about this, it seems to be, like, portals. Like, you basically go through these, like, portals to get to these worlds, which I don't think is terrible theming at all. But yeah, so I mentioned at the top of the show that that there were 2 stories where we were going to talk about Switch 2. Obviously, we talked about it in the Pokemon one, but we haven't talked about it since, because I'm just kind of saving it for this one. So, what does Super Nintendo World, the Epic Universe, have to do with Switch 2? What if the Switch 2 comes out around the same time this opens? Like, imagine if the Switch 2 comes out, let's say the end of May. Let's say May 30th. But people who attend the Epic Universe opening weekend get a chance to play the Switch 2. Right? Like, that's like, oh yeah, you know, you can check it out early. Like, obviously you can't buy it early. But like, hey, you know, I don't remember when, like, Best Buy kiosks for the Switch opened up. I don't feel like that was, like, a day one thing. It might have been, but I don't think it was. But, like, imagine if, like, because, you know, most of the time you can only play these early things at, like, E3 or PAX or something like that. So imagine if Nintendo was like, hey, here's the Switch 2, and we'll have an area at this park where you can play the Switch 2 and, I don't know, Super Mario Multiverse for the first time ever. Like, that'd be a pretty big deal, you know? It'd just be one of the other, like, hey, it's one of those cool things you can do at the theme park while you're here, you know? Come check out the new Mario ride, the Donkey Kong ride, and hey, check out the Switch 2 while you're here. Get a shitty Super Mario Brothers burger. Because I've heard the Mario Cafe stuff in America is not very good. Like, I've heard the Japan version is okay, but I've heard the American version of the stuff sucks. I don't know, I haven't been... I really want to, obviously, because, you know, I'm a nerd like that. God, we were stuck there. We were screwed. So yeah, that's kind of like, what if the Switch 2... I could honestly even see it, like, releasing around then. Like on like not on May. I mean, I could release on May 22nd, but I could see Nintendo doing a special release for the Switch, and you know how like Microsoft did the thing in like Times Square, where hey, the first person to ever get an Xbox got an Xbox at the Best Buy in Times Square. I could see Nintendo being like, hey, the first person in the world to get a Switch 2 got one here at Super Nintendo World or Super Mario World here at Epic Universe in Orlando, Florida. Like, I feel like they could make a big deal out of that, and that would just be, it'd be neat, right? It's technically not anything special, but it would be neat. That'd be some, especially if, you know, you're launching a new 3D Mario game, or a new Mario Kart, and it's like, hey, we've got this theme park that has, you know, a Mario Kart ride, that has a Nintendo World. That's some great brand synergy that usually Nintendo is awful at. Like, the only time Nintendo is good at brand synergy is Smash Bros. Other than that, they're awful at brand synergy. Outside of, like, small Easter eggs. Like, yeah, you know, Nintendo loves to put in their small Easter eggs. I mean, like, I can go over to my locker over here and find, like, a GameCube. Right? They love their small little Easter eggs. See, GameCube. But other than that, you know, or the NZAP's the other option. I saw that in there. But, you know, Nintendo's not actually really that good at that. So it'd be neat to be like, hey, you know, here's, you know, the new Mario Kart, Epic Universe, Mario Bros. Movie. Because it was really, like, when you think, like, oh, Nintendo has a Mario movie coming out, you would think they would have, like, a new Mario game releasing around the same time. And we did get a new 2D Mario game. It just took another, like, 6 months to come out. Whereas, like, any other, like, the Lego developers, for example, like, when they make a new Lego movie, that game is out day and day, right? Like, those come out at the same time to maximize brand synergy. Admittedly, sometimes that's to the detriment. But right, there's that really nice... Of course, Nintendo treats each project as, like, its own big thing. But wouldn't it be cool if, like, the Switch 2 launches with a new Mario Kart, and there's a Mario Kart... There's a course in the new Mario Kart based on Super Nintendo World, where you get to, like, drive around, like, a Super Nintendo World themed track? That'd be really cool, actually. And, like, it had, like, Mii's in the background, that was, like, people, like... You know, they brought back Mii's, and instead of, like, guests at the park, and, like, they had Mii's as, like, guests at the park. I feel like that'd be a really neat detail that they could work in there. I don't know, it's just an idea. Oh, and also, while we're talking about Switch 2, before we move on to WIBE, so basically, there was a guy, we talked about this a few weeks ago, where he was like, hey, he had heard that they had officially filmed the Switch 2 reveal trailer, and it was going to be releasing within 1 to 6 weeks. We are now on week 5, right? This was week 5 since that story came out. So if it doesn't release this week, or, you know, within the next 7 days, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it really does feel like every Wednesday and Thursday, I kind of wake up hoping that something gets announced. Even if it's just like an announcement of an announcement. I'd take that. But yeah, because I feel like if it doesn't happen in October, it's just not going to happen until, like, January of next year. And I know I've seen some people say, well, obviously they're not going to jeopardize the holiday season. You know, they want people playing, you know, they want people buying a Switch over Christmas instead of, like, saving up their money for a Switch 2. I don't feel like that's as much of an issue as everybody makes it out to be. I feel like that's way overstated of an issue. I mean, plenty of people bought PS4s, even though the PS5 had been announced and released. Because guess what? PlayStation didn't make enough of those. So of course people were gonna buy PS4s. Ugh, what a mess. What a mess that was, / kinda still is. Actually, not really. They have largely fixed that, but still. Oh, nice, I got one. So yeah, and I know some people are like, oh, the thing he was talking about was Alarmo, and he actually did come out and say that no, he wasn't talking about Alarmo, he was talking about something else, but, nothing's come to fruition yet, and because I don't think they do, because next week, right, is, it's just a week, but the week after that's Halloween, and I don't think they do anything on Halloween. That's just not... Nintendo doesn't really do stuff like that. They try not to overlap with holidays or anything like that. That's just a very un-Nintendo move. So I don't think we're going to get anything, but yeah. Just know that that's kind of, people are talking about that behind the scenes. People are still freaking out about that Nintendo alarm clock. Which is still so weird, man. I still kind of love it, but it's so weird. So next up, let's get to WIBE. Let's talk about our WIBE stuff real quick. I'm gonna kind of blow through everything real quick. Okay, let's start off with the thing that pissed me off. I feel like when it comes to foodstuffs, I've been complaining a lot recently, because a lot of places have just been fucking me over. I get it. Every place is understaffed after COVID. These companies refuse to hire people, and as a result, my local Taco Bell hasn't had more than 2 people working at it in the past 3 years. I get that. That sucks. But I'm just so fucking tired of everything being wrong. I feel like every week I go somewheres, and something is wrong, or... it's like, hey, we're gonna try out these new things, or I've worked a 12-hour shift. I don't want to cook tonight. Just give me give me a Whataburger, a fry, and a soda for like $10. Oh my gosh, I'll take that. Instead of this fucking Jack in the Box, $10 for a single burger. Oh my god. That's ridiculous. To be fair, Five Guys is like $20. But still. So, the 2 places we gotta talk about is chicken. The first one, I went to KFC. So, KFC released a few new things. They released a cranberry lemonade. There's like a cranberry syrup that you can basically add to any drink. Like, they have a lemonade, a Mountain Dew, a sweet tea, and like one other thing. But you can technically add it to anything. So that's the first thing. They have these cherry popper thing that's like, they're like these cherry like turnover bites. They previously did have apple bites. I did not try them. I feel like they'd be really good based on trying the cherry ones. I could see the apple ones being very good. We'll talk about it in a minute though. And then they have these original recipe chicken tenders. So right, they're doing chicken tenders. They're, the KFC original recipe. So early in the week, I had heard someone talk about this and say that no, this is actually all pretty good, that it's some of the best stuff KFC has released in a while. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll try that. Oh, the other thing is a sauce. They have they're like, oh, this is our new comeback sauce, right? That KFC is making a comeback, because KFC is not financially doing that great. So it's like, oh, this is our comeback, right? We're hitting it big. We've got the new comeback sauce, right? We've got these new original recipe tenders. It'll be all that. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Sure, I'll give it a try. I'd heard it was good. So I basically order everything we talked about, and then I also ordered just a chicken sandwich, because why not? I think it was like a three-piece tender. How much did I pay for all this? I have no recollection. So I get this, right? I pick it up. I come home, and no sauce. They hadn't, I had gotten the new sauce, but I had also just gotten, a generic barbecue sauce, because, what if the new sauces are up there, right? I wanted, a safety net. Nothing. I didn't get any sauce whatsoever, so they completely fucked me over on that one. Okay, that sucks. And that just pissed me off. That pissed me off. And then they completely forgot my chicken sandwich. Nope. They just didn't get me my chicken sandwich. And I was like, what? Because it was 2 boxes and a bag. One box had the fries and the tenders. One box had the little cherry turnover things. And I was like, oh, the bag must have, the chicken sandwich or whatever. Or I was like, the bag must have the sauces or the chicken sandwich or something. No, it didn't. It didn't have that. What was in the bag? I don't even remember what was actually in the bag. Fuck. I'm legitimately racking my brain trying to think what was in the bag. I don't remember. I don't remember, but I was pissed. I was just like, you know what? I was annoyed. Oh my god. And you know what? I get it. Everyone's understaffed. Shit happens. It wouldn't be that big of a deal if it wasn't for the fact that the last time I fucking went to KFC, this exact same thing happened. KFC is dead for me. They are dead forever. Cause you know what? They fucked up last time. Okay, you know what? It sucks. It happens. They did the exact same thing again. They're dead to me. Oh my god, It's not that big of a deal, but if I've learned anything, when it comes to food places, all it takes is one or two fuck-ups, and they're dead forever, right? There are people who, one fuck-up, and they will swear off a place for the rest of their life. I'll give you a personal example. Church's Fried Chicken. I got back in... I'm gonna guess 2010? I got food poisoning from them. I have never been to Church's since then. It's been 14 years. It's been somewhere between 14 and 12 years. It's been a while. I have never been back to Church's Fried Chicken. They are dead to me forever. Because a decade ago, over 12 years potentially, 12 to 14 years, they gave me food poisoning once. And that's just kind of how, and this isn't like a me thing, this is like a universal thing. Like, everybody does this without realizing it, right? That, hey, if a place fucks you over just once, they're dead forever. So yeah, Church's is dead for me forever, KFC is dead for me forever, but we still got Popeyes, and we'll talk about them here in a second. Now, I say all of that, I actually kind of liked the food. I wish I had had some sauce. Because, the chicken... I mean, listen, original recipe, it's fine, it's whatever. But I like a good sauce. I'm not a sauce guy. I'm not Nick from the 100% Eat podcast. Or whatever it's called nowadays. Right? I'm not a sauce guy. I'm not like a sauce boss. But I like a good sauce, man. A good sauce goes a long way on fries, especially on chicken. On a burger, kind of. It depends. So, right, that just kind of annoyed me. But the actual chicken, like the original recipe tenders, they tasted fine. Honestly, if KFC wasn't dead to me, I could totally see myself getting them again. They were okay, they were crispy. The chicken was cooked well. They weren't too dry. One of the worst things about chicken places is just, I hate when it's dry. That's what kills, that's what makes a chicken place bad, is when it's just dry. Oh my god. Wendy's. Not every time. Sometimes you get Wendy's chicken sandwiches, and they're fantastic. But sometimes you get them, and they're just dry, and it's just a bitch and a half to work through. There was another place I went to that also had them very dry. Was it a Nashville hot chicken place? I don't remember what it was. And it was just dry. Was it Wingstop? Oh, fuck, it might have been Wingstop. And it was just dry, and I was like, oh, fuck, this was a nightmare to work through. Oh, mac and cheese was in the bag. That's it. Fuck, I completely forgot about that. I like their mac and cheese. I don't love it, but I like it. It's fine. It's not my favorite mac and cheese from any place, but yeah, that's what was in the bag. Took me a second. So yeah, the chicken was fine. The mac and cheese was fine. The cherry popper tart things, I don't remember what they're officially called. I could Google it, but I don't know if I actually want to. Though the cherry popper tart things, I actually really liked. Like, they were crispy. I'm pretty sure they had been fried. Like, they're called cherry pie poppers. I knew they had popper in there. I'm pretty sure they had been fried. They had an okay amount of cherry filling. I could have used for a little more. But they were crispy, they were crunchy. They're just like, you know, little bite-sized treats. They kind of remind me of like an old school, like they're like a mini version of the old school McDonald's pie. I guess maybe that was what I compare it to, like an apple turnover. Like, imagine if you'd taken like an apple turnover and deep fried it. I actually really liked them. Or I guess a cherry turnover. I feel like I would have liked the apple ones more, but that's because I'm a big Apple guy. I like apples. I don't like Apple the company. Fuck Apple. I will never own an iPhone. But apples, the food, pretty good. But the cherry ones, not bad. Not bad at all. These little cherry poppers were actually so good that I might, that even though KFC is dead to me, if I was to ever go back, it'd be for these things. 'Cause I liked them. The lemonade, the cranberry lemonade, forgettable. Like, it wasn't bad. It was just kind of forgettable. Like, I had it, I drank it. I honestly kind of forgot I had it. I know they've done, like, they did, like, a raspberry lemonade once that I actually really enjoyed. This is, because I've totally gone into a lemonade era. I think lemonade is fantastic. And, I don't know, maybe I just wanted more from it. Maybe I just wanted a stronger flavor. It was okay. Like, it was okay. Like, I don't remember the upcharge on it, but, you know, depending on the upcharge, I can see myself ordering it again. Again, if hypothetically KFC wasn't dead to me. Because that's the one thing KFC had going for it over every other chicken place, is they're close. Right? Popeyes, I have to drive to the other side of town. The other one of the local places, I mean, it's not the other side of town far, but it's farther than, like, there's this thing where it's like people have like a 10-mile radius of their house. Like, on any given day, people try to stay within 10-mile radius, within like a 10-mile radius of their house or something like that. And, right, KFC is within that 10-mile radius. And, one of the local places is just outside of it. It's like, technically it's like on the border, but I like never go there. Like, because there's nothing else really. The only other thing out there is like a McDonald's. And there's another McDonald's that's way closer than that one. So yeah, I don't know. So yeah, that just kind of links Popeyes, I guess. There is a Church's, which is also kind of in the same scenario where it's on the border. But again, I haven't been to Church's in like 15 years. Which kind of sucks, because they're the one place that did fried okra. And I really like fried okra. I'm a firm fried okra fan. Like, yeah, fried okra, fried zucchini, both fantastic. And yeah, I think they're the only place that does it. I think so. And maybe I think the local place does it as well. To be fair, I think the local place does it. But yeah, okay, so that's KFC, right? Fuck KFC. Their food was okay, but they're dead to me. I say that now, we'll see if my tune changes. Because again, if the food had been shit, like if the chicken had been dry, yeah, no. But the fact that it was actually kind of decent, that I know I got that rare good KFC pull. I probably won't get it again, ever. You know, if I kept going, I'd probably never get it again. But you know, the fact that I got it once is kind of, you know, if it wasn't for that, it'd be an easy, like, they're dead to me forever. So the other place I had, Popeyes. You know, I had a bad chicken experience, let's have a good one. Popeyes released a ghost pepper chicken sandwich. I was curious. I've said before in the past, I'm not a spicy food guy. I'm really not. I'm, you know, I'm not white, but I'm pretty close to it, and I can't deal with spicy foods, you know. Am I as bad as, like, Tim Wolves? Nope. But I'm still not great. But the one exception to me not really liking spicy food is chicken sandwiches. I like a good chicken sandwich. Oh, I guess there's also Chick-fil-A. I actually do have a Chick-fil-A. Oh, and there's Cane's as well. Cane's and Chick-fil-A are both actually super close. Cane's is fine. Chick-fil-A, I will never go to. If someone else is going there and asks if I want anything, I'll say yes. But on my own, I'll never actually pay for Chick-fil-A. But that's a whole other thing. I like a good spicy chicken sandwich. I think Wendy's has a good spicy chicken sandwich if it's not dry. Chick-fil-A's okay. Popeyes has a great spicy chicken sandwich. So they have this new ghost pepper chicken sandwich, and I was like, I at least have to try it. I took my first, the one I got covered in this ghost pepper sauce, the sauce they use. I don't know if I just got lucky and got a bunch of it. Yeah, let's just go with that. I got lucky and got a bunch of it, or if that's how much they normally put on it. Because I'm so used to some of these other places where it's like, oh yeah, we'll put sauce on it, and they just put the bare minimum. Like, they do like a single line or a single squirt, and it's just so underwhelming. No, Popeyes layers that shit on. Good, again, they're fantastic. Best chicken sandwich, best chicken place. So yeah, I was like, okay, you know, let's try this. I can handle a normal spicy chicken sandwich from Popeyes perfectly fine. So ghost pepper, I'm like, it's going to be a little hotter, but, you know, hopefully we'll be fine. I took a single bite and I was like, oh, I fucked up. Like, it wasn't killing me. Like, I think like a few months ago, I tried Blaze Pizza's Hot Honey Pizza, which had, you know, it had a hot honey, it had a chili sauce, it had jalapenos, it had a few other things. I think it had a spicy tomato sauce, and that one killed me. Like, I seriously, just eating that night, I was filled with regret. Like, oh my god, I should not have done that. That was, oh my god, that was a mistake. So, with this, it wasn't that bad. It was not, like, I was not filled with regret. Like, I don't feel like I completely fucked up ordering it. I was able to, right, unlike the Blaze Pizza, which I just couldn't after a while. I was able to finish this. So, it is decent, you know, it's definitely spicier than the normal spicy chicken sandwich. Is it, like, insanely spicy? Probably not. I'm sure anyone who can actually handle spice will think of this as, like, babies playing. But I mean, I liked it. It's a spicy chicken sandwich, you know? The only way to really fuck it up is to make it dry, especially if you're putting, like, a lot of sauce on it. So yeah, it's Popeyes. They do a good job. Guess what? I did like this. Would I get it again? No. Nope. No sorry, Bob. But you know what? I had to at least try it. That's what matters. I had to try it. I did it. Never again. So yeah, I think that's all the foodstuffs I got this week. You know, it wasn't much, but I had a few things. Yeah, it wasn't much, but yeah. I don't think I had anything else. I don't know if any other place released anything else, if I'm being honest. Honestly, I feel like this is the most foodstuffs we've done in a while. And I feel like the only reason we're getting a bunch of stuff is because of Halloween time. You know, most companies try to put out something to, you know, react to Halloween. Honestly, if you had told me, like, 2 weeks ago that of all the foodstuffs I've tried around the Halloween season, the best one was gonna come from Burger King, I would have called you a fucking liar. Like, out of all the restaurants, you know, Wendy's, McDonald's, KFC, Popeyes, the fact that the best thing I've had so far comes from Burger King is crazy. But man, those churro fries were good. Yeah, they were good. And that purple Whopper, Swiss cheese on a Whopper actually works pretty well. So that's my food stuff. Let's talk about TV and movies. Let's do movies first. Sure, why not? So I have not gone to the theater. I'm pretty sure Transformers left theaters this week. Either it did or it does. Like today or tomorrow is like my last day to see it. So that sucks because I really did want to see that. God, I'm just bad. You know, it was easier when I was getting paid to do it, and now that I'm not, I just can't. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to. I feel like on a weekend, it's going to a movie and spending, all that 2 hours there kind of feels like a waste. Like, there are so many other things I could do. So I want to go see a movie after work. But I've just been so tired recently. I've been working long hours. God, Tuesday was exhausting. Tuesday was a 12-hour day. Oh my gosh. So I was just, because that was my plan. I wanted to go see it on Tuesday, and I was just so tired. I like, seriously, at one point I was just kind of, standing around, kind of waiting for the day to end, and I could have just fallen asleep standing up. Oh my gosh. Gosh. So, yeah, I didn't get around to seeing that. What I did get around to, there was a new movie on Netflix that came out, I think it came out in early October. It's not a horror movie. It's a dark comedy, thriller, mystery. It's called It's What's Inside. The basic premise is that it's basically the weekend before this guy, Ruben, gets married, and him and all of his college friends are getting back together, just to kind of celebrate. They're having one big final weekend. And so they're playing games, having a good time. And one of the guys, Forbes, he's like big inventor, Silicon Valley guy, and him and his team have created a machine that allows you to switch bodies. So, they basically play like werewolves, but where everyone's switched bodies, and the goal is to try to figure out who's in whose body. It's a good idea. And yeah, I feel like they kind of push the concept. I'm not going to say they cover everything you could possibly do with it, but they do a lot. I see where the dark comedy comes from. I see where the mystery comes from. Like at the very beginning of the movie, they establish that the girl, oh God, what's her name? I cannot remember her name. But she's jealous of one of their other friends, Nikki, who's like a famous Instagram model. And so, like, right, obviously, they're body switching. I see the conflict, like, right there. And it's like, that's obviously going to become an issue eventually. And I feel like, yeah, they do a lot with it. If I had to compare this to anything, I know there are other body switching movies that I definitely could compare it to, but I'm going to give the credit to Knives Out. Like, because that's what one of the things I really liked about Knives Out is that it was a mystery that took its premise and kind of looked at it from every angle. If you take this idea, what can you do on every aspect of this idea? And I feel like they really nailed it. And yeah, this movie really does feel like it nails it. I don't want to give anything away, other than what I have, obviously. But I feel like it's a really good idea. It's a very low-budget movie, right? Like, they're working with the most of what they have. They're in one really weird location for most of it. They experiment a lot. The cinematography is fantastic. They play around with angles. They play around with camera shots. They play around with colors a lot. Right? There's a lot of fun there. They do a lot of real interesting things with cinematography. If I had one problem, I'll say it takes a while to start. Like, because you have to meet everyone. You have to learn what their, like, little issues are. Then, Ruben finally comes in and they have to set up the whole body switching thing. There has to be the refusal to the call. And then once they finally get into it, and it's like, yes, we're finally playing the game, it's fantastic. But it definitely takes a little bit to get started. It's a little slower. But I think once it does pop off, basically once it pops off, it's really good. I really enjoyed it. I really liked the ending. right? Kind of like Knives Out, where it's like the ending just kind of brings everything together perfectly. This one, right, the ending just kind of brings everything together in a way that I really liked. So yeah, I highly recommend it. It's on Netflix. If you're, if you're in for something that's, a little unsettling, but you're not a big horror fan, I think this is perfect. Right? I think this does a great job at that. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. So that's the one movie I watched. When it comes to television, I watched the first episode of Agatha's All Along. I've been kind of curious. I've been hearing a lot of things, some good, some bad. And I was like, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to at least watch an episode. And I did actually enjoy it, right? So the first episode, we're with Agatha. She's still trapped inside, her, at the end of WandaVision, Wanda puts her in, like, the TV show reality. And so we're with her, she's in the TV show reality, at least, in her mind, right? She thinks she's a detective working a hard-boiled case. Right, a dead body shows up, it's Wanda's. Right there's someone, Aubrey Plaza, who's, infiltrated her dream, who's, trying to bust her out, the actual consequences of that. There's also, it's Tommy, I'm pretty sure it's definitely Wiccan. I'm pretty sure Tommy is Wiccan. What's the other, Tommy and, what's the other twin's name? Why can't I not remember Speed's name? Speed and Wiccan. Billy. I'm pretty sure Billy is Speed and Tommy is Wiccan. They don't actually say his name, and I'm pretty sure he can't say his name from like one of the clips I saw from like the next episode. But yeah, we get introduced to him. We get introduced to Aubrey Plaza, who I'm pretty sure is Thanos' girlfriend. If I had to guess, I'm pretty sure that's what they're kind of saying. I don't know, I might have been spoiled on some things. But I think that's really interesting. Again, I've heard some really good things about the show. I've heard some really bad things. I do like that they picked up back with, right, the way WandaVision was shot, with, like, the different intro, the detective stuff. I love, once the reveal happens, and you find out, like, oh, the chief of police was just the neighbor. That basically the people of Westview have just kind of been taking care of Agatha, this entire time. That, right, they've been, like, bringing her food and whatnot, and making sure she's not, like, going on murderous rampage. Like, I feel like that, once that reveal happens, it's like, yeah, no, that's kind of funny. That all kind of works out. Right. So yeah, I liked the first episode. I wasn't blown away by it. I know we're up to episode 6 now. I'll get around to the rest. But I at least wanted to sit down and watch the first. Finally I got enough motivation to sit down and at least watch an episode. So I at least got that, which is nice. And yeah, the only other show that I watched, there was a new episode of Make Some Noise. I don't feel like I've talked about Make Some Noise that much. This season of Make Some Noise is, I think, the best season so far. It has the prompts have been so good. All the comedians they brought in are so funny. I have been brought to tears from laughing. Basically every episode. Right? This newest one was no exception. The one big change they've made this season is, every episode, except for the most recent one, which I noticed only after I watched it, every episode starts off with a mini game, which I think is a fantastic idea. In execution, it sounds kind of right, because there's usually there's 3 rounds and 2 mini games. But adding in that third mini game, adding in a third mini game at the very beginning to kind of loosen people up, to, have some fun, has actually worked very well. And yeah, it's definitely a feature I think they need to keep for the rest of the show. Because it's great. The season has been so good, so funny. Just excellent works from some fantastic comedians. So yeah, I can't sing, make some noise. This is definitely, like, if you have not watched it, right now is a perfect time to jump in. It's been a great season. But the other college humor show that premiered this week was Gastronauts. So this is, right, it's a bunch of comedians come up with ideas for dishes that then some professional chefs have to make. So, right... So this first episode, it's Brennan Lee Mulligan, Izzy Rowland, and Oscar... I can't think of Oscar's last name. But, so it's those three, and so Brennan, like, his prompt is he wants a dish that's heavy, right? He wants something that's heavy. So, right, he tasks the chefs to make the heaviest dish. And I love that since the episode came out, someone made a compilation of every time Brennan has said that he likes his food to be heavy. Like, that's, right, like, I think of, like, the Brennan joke about, like, he knows his order at every place he goes to, right? Bacon cheeseburger with a milkshake. So, right, I think of that. But yeah, this heavy food thing is something I'd never heard of. But man, did Brennan, the one dish that's like it's like they call it like a hamburger helper, but it's, right, a pasta with meat and tomatoes and cheese, and it's just a big dish packed into this casserole, and, right, it's heavy. It's like I'm gonna say 6 pounds, but I don't actually remember if pounds was the unit. It was heavy, and basically throughout the entire, right, Brennan, it's the first dish shown off. And then throughout the rest of the episode, in the background, Brennan is just eating it. He just continues to eat it for the rest of the show. And that was so funny. Just every once in a while cutting back to him, either eating the dish or with the dish in front of him. Like, that one thing won her the episode. So that was Oscar Montoya. There we go. It just came to me. God, it's like the Pokemon list all over again. That disc won her in the episode. Because, yeah, it was great. And, of course, after the episode premiered, people reached out to her on Instagram and was like, give us the recipe. Because, yeah, everybody wants to try this dish. I've seen other chefs being like, yeah, you know, give me some time. I'll figure out how to recreate this. I want to try this dish. Because it doesn't seem that, right? Like, they compare it to Hamburger Helper, and that's not complicated at all. And while I haven't had a Hamburger Helper in many years, there's nothing wrong with a Hamburger Helper. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with that, like, at all. And yeah, it just looked, man, I love a good pasta dish. And it just looked good, all the cheeses. I would totally make this. I would totally make this in a heartbeat. Between this and the BLT hot dog on that, on the most recent Eat the Venue, man, there are some good foods out there that I'm like, yeah, I could probably make that. I could probably make a BLT hot dog. You just gotta get the right bread. Because, you know, Europeans always complain about American bread. And, like, sometimes I think, like, when it comes to, like, just generic-ass sandwiches, I think they're wrong, right? They give us way too much shit. But sometimes they're totally right. Like, sometimes when I just want to get, like, a good, like, hoagie or, you know, a grinder or, like, just some good, like, hot dog buns or something like that, it's really hard to find that here in America. Because, like, there's a lot of shit bread out there. A sub sandwich. I don't know. But yeah, so that pasta dish looked great. The other two without spoiling, I'm not going to spoil the other two challenges. They're also really good. I recommend you go watch the episode. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a good show. The comedians are funny. I have no idea who the host is. I don't think I've look at the weapon clipping through her hat. I've never heard of her before. Maybe I have and I'm just blanking on where I've seen her from. She doesn't look familiar to me at all, but she's great. I think she does a great job as a host. The chefs they brought in, they were a little awkward, but it's a cooking show. So who cares? The comedians were funny. They made some great looking dishes. I think it's a good show. I think it's a good, fun college humor show that, leans into their improv comedy, but has a fun new twist on it. Exactly what college humor has been doing really well over the past few years. So I'm definitely here every week. It's a Friday show, which I think is, I'm so used to new college humor stuff on Mondays. Make Some Noise, Game Changer. I think Dirty Laundries is Tuesday. I feel like, most stuff I watch at College Humor is Monday or Tuesday. The latest is, of course, Dimension 20 on Wednesday. Which I have not watched episode 3 still. I said last week, I didn't need a tragedy in my life at the moment. Within the past week, that has not changed. I still don't need a tragedy in my life at the moment. I'll get around to that at some point. I did love Abria's someone made hey, I didn't want to this is supposed to be a comedy show. I didn't want to cry. And she posted on Twitter or TikTok, Sam really wants that Emmy. So if we can't win it for our comedy, we might as well try with our tragedy. And that was a great response. She's so good. Man, everything she does is fantastic. But yeah, so that's that. That's all the TV stuff I've been watching. I guess let's talk videos game real quick. So the new Mario Party did come out. I have played it. I haven't played much of it. I've only done a single round. And yeah, you know what? It's good. It's a good Mario Party. I really only have one problem with it. But I'm not going to say it's a major one, but okay. So, let's start with talking about Mario Party Superstars. So when I played Mario Party Superstars, which I have been playing the past few weeks, because I've just been in me and my mates have been in a Mario Party mood, but we didn't want to wait for the new one, so we booted up Superstar and played a few games. And normally we do, normally we just do whatever, I think the default settings, which is like a 15-minute game, or a 15-turn game, not 15-minute. And the 15-turn game, I know most people do the standard 20. We're busy people. 15 turns works fine for us. It takes about an hour 15, somewhere between an hour to an hour 30 minutes. That's, for a 15-turn game, I feel like that's fine. They say it's supposed to only take 60. I feel like Mario Party times have always been wrong. They always underestimate how long games take, because there's a lot of randomness in Mario Party that can really extend games. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm used to. That's how I feel like most Mario Parties work. 15, 20 turns. They take an hour and a half at most, right? That's just kind of the standard. This new one feels a lot slower. We did, again, 15 turns. We played one game on the mall. We did 15 turns. And it took, we did 10 turns. Did we do 10 turns? Did we do 10 or 15? Whatever. No, we must have done 15, right? 15 is the standard. We did 15 turns, and it took us 2 hours. It took way... I don't know. I have a good idea of what it is. This new Mario Party is way slower than the previous ones. Which, again, isn't always a bad thing. But I kind of, again, maybe it's just because I played Jamboree, or Superstars. Maybe it's just because I played Superstars last week. But yeah, it definitely feels like it takes longer. 2 hours for a 15-turn game? Kind of ridiculous. And I think there's two things that really slow it down. I feel like just in general, things are slow. It feels like things take longer just overall. I did, after we played the one game, I did go into the settings and see that you can make text speed faster. I went and talked to Toad. So I did turn text speed faster. Hopefully that helps in the future. But that was the first thing. The second thing, I feel like a lot of the mini games take longer. Don't get me wrong. ND Cube, I think ND Cube has been on a good streak recently. And one of their good ideas that they had in Super Mario Party was that on the screen where it tells you, like, hey, this is how the minigame plays, this is how to control things, they just let you practice it on that screen, which I think is a fantastic idea. And I think it's implemented really well. But it does definitely slow down the game. So I feel like when we play future games, I'm just going to turn off practice, and hopefully that speeds things up a little bit. Because, yeah, I feel like practice takes some time. And, yeah, the minigames just feel longer. I feel like in most Mario Party minigames, especially when you have to, like, repeat a task, it usually asks you to do a task, like, 3 times. Because, you know, once is an accident, twice is a coincidence, but 3 times, that means you can actually do it. Right? Like, I feel like in the picture matching games, or the ones where you have to, like, drive around circuits and whatnot, it usually asks you to do it, like, 3 times. In this game, I feel like every minigame I did, it had us pick 5 times. You know, there was one minigame where it was like there were pictures of fruits behind womps, and you had to select which womp was, like, the odd man out, and it was 5 rounds, and it took forever. There was one where we had to, like, match up cards. It was just like card matching, you know? And it took forever. Because there were also, I think, there were 4 or 5 rounds on that one. It took a while. And, like, in, like, Superstars, there's the one where you're, like, on skis, and you have to go past the fireballs and the womps. That one takes a while. But these, I feel like a lot of the minigames take a lot of time in this one. We turned off motion control minigames, so I admittedly have nothing to say about those. But yeah, so just normal minigames feel like they take longer. But also, there are so they brought back the buddy system from Superstars. I like the buddy system, or not from, God, why do all of these Mario Party games have the same fucking names? Like, at least when they were numbered, I mean, I'd still say the wrong name, but at least I'd feel more confident in saying the right one, you know, 8, 9, whatever. And this one, it's Super Mario Party, Mario Party Superstars, Super Mario Party Jamboree. God, 3 just back to back. I mean, I think Super Mario Party is a fine name. Mario Party Superstars is a fine name. Super Mario Party Jamboree is a bad name. I wish it had just been called Mario Party Jamboree. I would have been fine with that. Because basically this game is a mix between Super Mario Party and Superstars. Because whereas Super Mario Party was, you know, it was the traditional Mario Party with some new twists and some new ideas. And then Superstars was just like, we're going full on traditional, right? This is literally just remaking a bunch of classic boards. This game is trying to be a mixture of the two. So I get where the name comes from, but I just find the name cumbersome. That's why whenever I talk about it, like even in my notes, it's just called Mario Party Jamboree. I don't even put the Super Mario, but I get why they did it. So they brought back the buddy system, kind of. I think the buddy system in Super Mario Party was fine. Was it overpowered? Yes. Oh my gosh, it was overpowered. But man, was it fun. I felt like it was a lot of fun to mess around, to have, you know, an army of like 4 buddies following you. It made for some pretty fun scenarios. It especially helped if you were, like, I play Rosalina, right? Rosalina's my character. I've played her in every Mario Party since, God, I think since 9. Maybe since 10, but definitely since 9. Or, definitely on the Switch. Again, I think she was in 9 and 10. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure she was. But on every Switch game, I have played Rosalina, right? She's been in all 3 of them. And because I really do like the character, and I like that Super Mario Party and Jamboree have a lot of characters. I really like that. Right. Even if there's no, like, in Super Mario Party, they all had unique character dice. I'm glad they got rid of unique character dice. But it was nice that, hey, when you get a buddy, you get their character dice. Because Rosalina does not have a good character dice. But, like, you could get, like, Shy Guy as a buddy. And guess what? Shy Guy has, you know, a great character dice. All 4s is, I think, a great character dice, in my opinion. Like, it's very specific. But, man, when you need that specificity, it works really well. I really like Shy. I don't know why Shy Guy's dice is the one that always comes to mind. Hers, hers, and Daisy's. Daisy's is all 3s and 4s, and that one's also pretty good. And then there's Bowser, who can roll nothing but 10s. Or who can roll a 10, which is ridiculous. I know in most Mario Party games, rolling a 10 isn't that big of a deal. But in Super Mario Party, where the highest you could roll is 6 on a normal dice, that was kind of a big deal. But yeah, I feel like... So yeah, they brought back buddies. But buddies work differently this time. You only get one, and there's only one at a time. But instead, so when you cross a buddy's path, instead of you just getting that buddy, because they randomly appear on the board, you instead play a buddy minigame. And if you win that buddy minigame, you then get that buddy, and each buddy has like a special ability. So like in our game, for example, we were on the mall, we had Bowser Jr. I go to Bowser Jr., right? I'm the one who gets to him. We play the buddy minigame. Whoever gets to the character while they don't get the buddy, they get an advantage in the minigame. So in the Bowser Jr. minigame, I had the advantage of having 3 extra points at the start. Which actually did matter, because if I hadn't had those 3 extra points, the game would have been a tie. And the Bowser Jr., the buddy minigames, I've only played 2 of them so far. They take forever. The Bowser Jr. minigame was like 10 rounds, where you were like dodging obstacles. Like, hey, here's charging chucks, here's spike balls, here's thwomps. And it's just round after round of dodging obstacles. And then at the end, you have to dodge Bowser Jr., and it just takes forever. Oh my gosh. The buddy minigames just take so long. And then the other buddy minigame we played, I think after like turn 15, another buddy spawned. Because the buddies only last for 3 turns. So, right, I had 3 turns with Bowser Jr. I think it got stolen at one point. But, so at the end, right, Bowser Jr. goes away after 3 turns. And then after like turn 10 or 12, at some point after turn 10, another buddy popped in, Luigi. And Luigi's minigame equally took very long. It was like a bunch of like little puzzle rooms, where there was like one puzzle room where you had to complete the picture, one puzzle room where you had to find like the odd statue out, one puzzle room that had you like memorize a code. And it just took forever. Right? It was very... I did win that one as well. I'm not gonna say I won, but you know, it was a very close game. And but I won both buddy mini games. I was doing okay. So in the game, I was doing really good at the mini games. I won most of the mini games. My problem was my dice rolls. I think the first 2 turns, I rolled back-to-back ones. My dice rolls were awful. And I think I ended the game with like 4 stars. I think I ended the game with 4 stars, and I think the person in front of me had 5. And then I think one other person had 1 star, and the 4th person had no stars. Right? Because the person who won got so lucky. Just back, like, the star would spawn. He got, I think, 2 stars in a single turn, and that might have happened twice. Like, legitimately, he might have gotten 2 stars in the same turn twice. Whereas I was able to get 2 stars with a buddy, and then the second time I had a buddy, I wasn't able to get a star. I stole 1. And then I was able to get 1 star on my own. 1 more star on my own. But yeah, that all tracks in my memory. But yeah, these buddy minigames just take forever. So, like, basically what in the 3rd turn of the game, Bowser Jr. showed up, I went to Bowser Jr., I got the buddy, we played the buddy minigame, which took forever. Then I landed on a versus space, and we did a versus minigame, which also took a while. So my 1 singular turn, 1 roll of the dice, took 10 minutes. That took forever, and that was just 1 round. So, right, it took, like, just imagine, and that happened more than, right, we got multiple versus minigames, we got a few battle minigames. It took forever. 20 minutes for 15, or 2 hours for 15 turns. That's kind kind of ridiculous. I mean, you know, more videos game is better, right? That's what people say. More videos game is better. But yeah, it just, again, back-to-back Superstars to Mario Party Jamboree. I definitely felt that 2 hours. That's literally my only problem with the game, is it just takes longer. Doing anything takes longer. Other than that, I think the game is fantastic. The mall board, which is the one we played on, I really enjoyed. I like the escalators. I like the elevator in the middle. The shops are fun. One of the changes I like is that at the bottom of the screen, it has the order of characters, right? It's basically like a progress bar. So you'll see like, hey, Mario goes first, Rosalina goes second, Yoshi goes third, Boo goes fourth, minigame. And as you go, your character moves, like, once your turn goes, so like Mario goes, he then goes to the back of the screen, right? Whoever's currently up is always in the bottom left corner. I like that progression tracker. You know, usually Mario Party just is like, oh, whoever's in first place, right? It says first place by their name. And so, I think in Mario Party 8, it like ranks characters in like the top left corner. Whoever's on first is on top. I feel like just making it like basically a progress bar was a really great idea. In that board specifically, when the flash sale happens, you can like see at the bottom it says like flash sale incoming, and then when the flash sale ends it says flash sale ending. When it does the home stretch and like picks like, oh, I think this character is gonna win, it literally says home, right? You can see like home stretch coming. So I think the progression tracker is great. All the items are good. They've added there's like a new shop item. They brought in like they brought back the thing where you can like place items on certain spaces to like steal coins or steal stars. That was all good. I don't think we got a chance time the entire time. So admittedly, I don't know if chance time is any difference. They brought back the emotes, and they're less annoying. My one problem with the emotes is I wish they were whenever text was on the bottom of the screen, they were either pushed on top of the emotes, or the emotes became like slightly transparent so that way you can see the text. Because there was at least, and this was true in Superstars as well. There was at least one point where like it gave like a thing on the bottom of the screen, but because the person at the end was like had an emote up, it was just blocking it. I wish they had kind of done something to address that. But yeah, other than that, you know, I had a good time with it. I'm trying to think of anything else that really stands out. It's just, I think it was a good board. It was fun, you know. I like, the other thing I didn't bring up about buddies that I really liked is that, right, when you have them, you get, right, double, like, so when you have a buddy, you get to the star spot, you can buy 2 stars. So, like, when good things happen, you get double the good things. But when bad things happen, you get double the bad things. So, like, when Bowser Jr. was stolen from me, the person then landed on a Bowser space. Or maybe it was when... At some point, a buddy was stolen from me. They landed on the bad space. And the Bowser space happened twice. That's great. Right? That reward versus consequence. Does it balance it out? Probably not as much as you'd think. But it's a good idea. Right? Oh, if you land on a red space, instead of losing, 3 or 6 coins, you'd lose double that. You'd lose 6 or 12. That's great. Right? That gives you better rewards, but greater consequences. There's risk there. I like that. I think that's good ideas. The minigames are all fine. I didn't play any of, outstanding ones. The only one that, right, outside of the 2 buddy minigames, the Thwomp one sticks out in my head. They brought back the basketball one from one of the GameCube. I think it's called 3-point or something like that. 3-pointer. They brought that one back. God, do I remember any of the other ones that really stand out? I'm just trying to think of anything. There was a balance where we had to balance between beams and collect coins. There was a 1v3 Was someone in a... Oh, someone was a prize ball, like a claw machine, and they had to pick out people using the prize ball. And yeah, we just I barely squeaked by and then won that one. I was doing great at the mini games. Like I said, the rolls were not on my side. The mini games totally were. And there's a bunch, like I said, there's a bunch of boards. We only played one game. There's a bunch of boards I didn't check out. There's a single player mode that, you know, I don't think it's like as in depth as like DS is. But, you know, having a single player mode is cool. I was talking about Bowser Spaces. So when you land on a Bowser Space, because Bowser is one of the playable characters, instead of it being Bowser, it's Illusion Bowser, or, you know, Simulation Bowser. I think it's called Illusionary Bowser. I wish they had... So if you're going to make Bowser one of the playable characters, I wish that instead of it being like Illusion Bowser, it had been Dry Bowser. That would have been a nice twist. So that way, you know, you can play as Bowser. Because I do like one of the main themes in this is that it's heroes versus villains. Right? For every heroic character, you know, Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, there's a villain. You know, Koopa, Goomba, Bowser, Bowser Jr. I like that. I like that they tried to equal it out. I kind of wish they leaned more into it, but whatever. So I feel like that's a good idea. There's a bunch of characters, like I said. It's definitely the most characters, the most mini games. I think it's tied for the most boards. I kind of can't remember. I wish they had actually added a few more characters, because I think they only added 2 new ones, right? Ninji and Pauline. I wish Nabbit was in there. I'm surprised Nabbit doesn't get more. You know, Nabbit, I was actually really surprised Nabbit returned in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, because he's not in Mario Kart, right? Like, I feel like after Rosalina, I had the feeling that Nabbit was going to be the next big Mario character. And then he hasn't been in anything. I know he was in Mario Kart World Tour, the mobile game, but, like, other than that, he hasn't been in anything. I feel like, honestly, I would have taken Nabbit over Ninji. He showed up in there was a minigame that had toads rolling on balls, and you had to, like, answer questions based on what the toads did. And he was in that minigame. He showed up as, like, one of the characters on the balls. They totally... I'm surprised Nabbit's not here. Obviously, Egad's not here. I feel like... I'm going to call this prediction right now. In the future, we're going to get Metal... Right, in the future Mario Kart game, we're going to get Metal Mario as a heavyweight character version of Mario. And we're going to get Gooigi as a lightweight version of Luigi. I'm going to make that prediction right now, and when the next Mario Kart game comes out, mark my words, I'm going to be correct. That just totally seems like something Nintendo would do. Yeah, admittedly, I can't think of any other new characters they'd add in. Like, you know, I'm glad, like, Sprixie isn't here, or Wiggler. I mean, Wiggler's got his own board, so he's cool with that. Petey Piranha's not here. Chuckster's not here. Other characters I can't think of. Egad, obviously. Again, another character that you would totally think would make it into Mario Kart at some point. But nope, never has, never will. The caterpillar from the new Mario Wonder. Florian, that's his name. At some point in like you know, kind of like how they had the Sprixie in Mario Tennis. At some point, we're gonna get Florian in one of these games. Mark my words. But yeah, no, I think it's a good game. The one match I had fun. It just took forever. That's legitimately my only problem with it, is that it felt very long. Everything else that Eurogame... Because I'm pretty sure that was in the Eurogamer review, is they talk about how long everything took. Other than that, all those problems in the Eurogamer review, I don't really have. You know, it's a typical Mario Party. It's got all the same trappings of a Mario Party. So yeah, I like, just based on the one game, only played one game, I think an 8 out of 10 is a fine score. Right? If the game was a little faster, it'd probably be a 9. I don't know if Mario Party could ever get a 10 out of 10 for me personally. I don't know if that's possible. Just by like the nature of Mario Party, I don't know, even like the ones that people love, like 1, 2, and 3, I don't even know if those get a 10 out of me. Is this my favorite? I don't know. I've only played a single game. Give me some time. I totally can see the possibility there. You know, if I keep playing it. There was one more thing I wanted to mention. Fuck, what was it? Mario Party, Jamboree, Starboard. There was one other thing I wanted to mention about this new one. Fuck. I don't know how the online multiplayer works. Oh, I hope it gets DLC. It was so weird that Mario Party Superstars didn't get DLC. It's so weird that Mario Party doesn't get DLC at all. Like, this is now their third opportunity to do it. And I hope they do. Because Mario Party just, like, I would gladly pay 20 to 30 bucks for, like, 2 new boards and 4 to 6 new characters. 2 to 3 boards, 4 to 6 new characters. 20 bucks, easily. No questions asked. Even if they were all just, like, remakes of old boards. Oh, yeah, love that. I'd love to see some boards from, you know, some of the later games. Because with Super Mario Party, all 1, 2, and 3 remakes, I'd love to see something from, like, 6 come in. And that's because 6 is my personal favorite. Yeah, I'd love for Nintendo to do some Mario Party DLC. It's ripe for the picking. I mean, they did Mario Kart DLC. And, you know, because that's the other thing. Mario Kart, for the past few years, right, for decades now, for over a decade now, has had, like, hey, whenever we do a new Mario Kart, we're going to have 16 new tracks. And then we're going to add 16 returning tracks. Because there have been so many tracks in Mario Kart games that they can afford to do that. And then, of course, you have the most recent game, which has, what, over 64 returning tracks? Like, it's crazy. It's definitely higher than that. It's like 70-something returning tracks. I feel like Mario Party is at the point where there have been enough games that you can be like, hey, here's the 4 new boards, and here's 4 returning boards. So that way, every game at a minimum has 8 boards, right? You don't need to worry about designing new ones. Because I like that they brought back Western Land. I admittedly know nothing about the Cloud board. Haven't played it. I don't know if I ever have played it. But I think that's cool, you know? I wish we had gotten 2 more, right? Because we got 4 new ones. We might have gotten 5 new ones, actually. Because I think there are 7, so we might have gotten 5 new ones. Even though Bowser boards typically suck, if I'm being honest. Like, in most Mario Party games, I feel like Bowser boards kind of suck. But that might just be me. But yeah, I would love to see 4 new boards and 4 returning boards in every future Mario Party. Because I feel like the Mario Kart model just works so well. People get excited for new stuff. I really hope that with the next Mario Kart, Nintendo just goes full Smash Bros. Because, you know what? Because we're not getting a new Smash Bros. We all kind of deep down, we know it. That they're just going to re-release Ultimate. They're going to do a $10 upgrade. Because they're not going to make a new one. You know, Sakurai has no interest. They're probably not even going to add a new character. The best that we can hope for is better netcode. Like, because, you know, Nintendo does have a new netcode thing. I just hope they use it. That'd be cool. Is it worth $10? I don't know. Maybe. But I kind of like the idea of, like, hey, Mario Kart, we're going to do Nintendo Kart, and then just have people get excited for new reveals. Right? Hey, this is the new character. Like, I know Sakurai puts a lot more effort into new characters, but I feel like, hey, it's the new Mario Kart update. Hey, this time the new character is... I don't know. Toothpaste Head from Fire Emblem. And, you know, it just gets people excited. Like, I feel like Mario Kart is ripe for the picking of becoming, not the next Smash Bros., but the next Smash Bros. Hype cycle. Because that's kind of what I want, right? It's like, yeah, would I love another Smash Bros? Sure. But I would love another Smash Bros. Hype cycle. Just something that every week, that every 3 months, Nintendo fans can just get excited about. Right? Really put some effort in there. The reveals don't have to be big, they just have to feel big. And I feel like games like Mario Party and Mario Kart are perfect for that. They just have to do it, and I don't know if they will. God, there was still totally one other thing I wanted to bring up that I just can't remember. I don't know. I like it. I recommend it. I hate the box art. Of course, I bought the physical version. And the box art has, at the very bottom, it's like one of those like Ubisoft games where it's like, oh, must feature Nintendo Switch Online to play. Right? It comes with like 3 months of Nintendo Switch Online, which is cool if you don't have it, right? That guarantees that everyone who buys this game will have Nintendo Switch Online. But it ruins the box art, in my opinion. But yeah, no, I do think this has the potential to be the best. I'm looking at the box art right now. I feel like this has the potential to be the best Mario Party game. There's a lot of good things going for it here. I had fun with it. I'm definitely going to have to play more of it. We'll talk more about it in the future. But yeah, it's good. It's Mario Party, you know? Mario Party knows what it's doing. It totally could rival 6 as my favorite. Because, yeah. Because again, I know there are a lot of people who say, oh, 2 is the best one. Oh, 3 is the best one. The original is the best. I'm not an original Mario Party purist. No, I think... Oh, fuck, I just remembered it. Okay, I remembered what I was going to talk about. Okay, so ND Cube, as the developer of Mario Party, they've been working on the series since at least Mario Party 9, if not earlier. And I feel like they get a lot of shit. And obviously, right, I feel like they do because they do. And I've been no help to that. I shit on ND Cube a lot during the Mario Party 10 release. Because, yeah, Mario Party 10 sucked, and it sucked a lot. But now that we're 3 Mario Party games into the Switch era, I feel like ND Cube has redeemed themselves. They have redeemed themselves. They have earned my respect. ND Cube is good now. They know how to make a good Mario Party. They deserve to not get shit on anymore. They have been officially redeemed. Like I said earlier, once is a coincidence, twice is an accident, but 3 times, that's a pattern. Super Mario Party was not perfect. It had its flaws, but overall, it was decent. Mario Party Superstars was a step in the right direction. It fixed most of my flaws with Super Mario Party, and it was all around, it was a good remake. ND Cube did exactly what we had been asking them to do for years, and they spit out a good game. And now here they are, their 3rd game on the Switch. They have returning boards, they have new boards, they've listened to feedback, they've done a lot of good things here. ND Cube is off the shit list. They have redeemed themselves. They have earned my respect. That's what I wanted to say earlier. Is that, yeah, ND Cube is good now. They've done... Because, you know, one of the things about 9 that I feel like is overlooked... I know Mario Party 9 made a lot of changes. But the reason it did that was because coming off of 8... people were sick of Mario Party. They felt like Mario Party had become too samey, too generic. People wanted change in Mario Party. And so I give ND Cube credit for at least trying something different with 9. Did it work out? No, not always. But they at least tried. And they earned something for that. Then they made 10 and a bunch of DS games. And those sucked. And they get nothing for that, right? They were on the shit list for that, right? They get the benefit of the doubt the first time. Every time after that, they were on the shit list. But 3 decent to relatively really good games, they're off the shit list. ND Cube has been redeemed. They've earned my respect. Good on them. I'm glad they've done great things. I look right. I genuinely now look right. There's always been a little hesitation whenever a new Mario Party's been announced because it's ND Cube. You never know. Hudson Soft's been dead for well over a decade and a half now, right? ND Cube, they're unreliable. They've earned my respect. They're off the shit list. I can trust them to make Mario Party games, right? They figured it out at some point. At some point between 10. All the 3DS games and Superstars. Did it take some practice to figure some things out? Because, you know, they were still trying to do new stuff. Because, again, that Mario Party becoming stale did happen. It took them some time to figure stuff out. But they did figure it out. And they have spit out a good game with some good features. Good on them. Yep, they've earned my respect. And that's what I wanted to say. That was my big takeaway. Alright, that takes us to our outro. What's coming up in the future? Obviously, we have the Splatfest. It's not next week, but it's coming up. It's the 25th. Is that next week? I think that's next week, actually. I don't know. I don't have a calendar on me immediately. Yeah, that's next weekend. So yeah, next week we have the Splatfest. They did confirm that, right, if you wear the costumes, the tops in the bottom pieces, it'll just automatically fill in the third piece. So, you know, for people who want to wear the costumes, they have brought that back, which I'm surprised this is the first time they're doing it. Like, I don't think any of the previous Splatfests did do that, which is kind of a shame. Like, I feel like that's something they should have done. Oh, hey, look, it's the survival kit and the hero thing. Alright, good on you. Just one amiibo left, we just have to do Marie. So yeah, we got that coming up in the near future, Splatfest. We did the Pokemon thing last week. I said we were gonna go for 2 hours. I knew deep down inside that we were gonna go for longer than that. And you know, sometimes it was like, oh my god, my brain is breaking. But I did have a good time. I did have a good time doing that. I'm glad I did it just to say I can do it. So yeah, that happened. And other than that, I don't think we have anything coming up in the near future. I don't plan on playing any Mario game. You know, I know Mario and Luigi Brothership comes out in like 3 weeks. I don't have any plans to play that or, you know, any of the previous ones. Because we could play like Superstar. I think Superstars is on. No, not Super. Mario and Luigi's Is it just called Superstar Saga? The original Game Boy one? That's on Nintendo Switch Online. We could play that, but I don't think I will. I don't know. Oh, I didn't even talk about Astrobot. I tried out the new Astrobot speedrunning level. They're releasing 5 of them over this week and the next 4 weeks after this. Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad they're doing that. You know, the speedrunning, I got it on my first try. I think I got like 40 seconds. So that's you know, it's not. I think the record was like 28. But, you know, 40 seconds isn't terrible. So, yeah, I had fun with the new Astrobot level. And, yeah, every week... It's definitely one of those things where it's like every week I'm going to come back to it. So, yeah. Anything else? I don't think so. I fixed Fall Guys. I basically had to... The problem was not with the servers. It had something to do with my PlayStation. And after I rebooted it, it worked fine. Alright, so I fixed that. I don't even think I mentioned that, but I did fix that. Maybe we'll do that at some point. Not next week, obviously, Splatfest. But, you know, maybe at some point. I should have done Mario Party tonight. I should have just booted up the story mode, and we should have just messed around with that. I don't know, I'm going to have a lot... You know, I'm going to have fun playing Mario Party, but I'm also going to have fun watching Mario Party. Like, I know Chilled Chaos played for like 7 hours today or something. Something wild. Like, he might still be going right now. But I watched some of that. I think he was playing Western Land when I stopped earlier. I know Ray put out a video that was also like a 7-hour long stream of him playing. Man, I think Trigger Conroy put out one, him and Yoshiller. So that's gonna be fun. I'm totally gonna watch that. You know, it just gives you something, right? They're good background streams. it's really good to have Mario Party in the background. They're just fun streams. Right? Like, as someone who's not tryhard at all, who's an agent of chaos, who believes that, you know, when you do chance time, you gotta do chance time blindfolded. Those are going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, I really don't think we have anything coming up. Not that I can think of, anyways. I don't know, man. I'm just waiting for that Switch 2 reveal. Man, we'll be here to talk about it. I like the witch's outfit, the witch's hat with the schoolgirl outfit. It reminds me of Yamada and the Seven Witches, which is an anime that I remember liking. Oh, I did watch an anime. Oh shit, I didn't even. Maybe if I remember next week, I did watch an anime. Oh boy, was that interesting. Oh boy, do I have some... I don't know if they're problems, but I definitely, like... Spider-Man would fucking hate this guy. Like, this guy is basically the exact opposite ethos of Spider-Man. It was not a superhero. It was an isekai, by the way. It was not a... It was an isekai. And everything this guy did, because, you know, it's one of those, like, where the main character is, like, super OP. And I was like, oh, wow, Spider-Man would have hated you, right? You're the antithesis of that. But, we'll talk about that another time. I completely forgot I actually watched that. So, yeah, okay, I'm rambling at this point. You know, we'll do stuff in the future. We'll be back next week for the Splatfest. We'll have fun. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Till next time, peace.